Hi, I'm Lex and welcome to part 3 of the 2021 Tomato Taste Test series. This and the next video, part 4, is going to be dedicated all about slicing tomatoes. If you're catching this video first in the series, go back to part 1 to see 10 cherry tomato varieties and part 2 for 10 paste and heart tomato varieties. This taste testing series was filmed in August of 2021, where I grew 40 different varieties in my home garden this year in Zone 6A, Northeast Ohio, right on the Lake Erie coast. It was my goal to find my favorite kinds of tomatoes that both taste really good and grow really well here in my region. It is now December, and now that I'm having more time to edit some of my videos from the summer, the garden is at rest, all of the harvest has been put up, and you'll see that this specific video was recorded over 2 different days. So as I'm working through this footage, you might notice that part 3 is a little bit split up, but the content is still really good and relevant, and you get to see some very interesting tomato varieties on this one. In this video, we're going to talk about 8 slicing tomatoes. They're heirloom varieties, all very unique and not something that you're going to find in your grocery store. And before we dive into this video, please be sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and at the end, leave a comment letting me know what you're most excited about trying next year. I really love filming and creating videos to share with everyone about my garden and our homestead, family, and life. So your support is extremely important to me and appreciated, and I look forward to continuing making more content in the 2022 gardening season. Now let's go try some yummy tomatoes. I am so full of tomatoes, but we're gonna get through it. So the first one up is a mortgage lifter. This one is 12.7 ounces, so it's a pretty big tomato. It is an heirloom variety. This one specifically has been a result of a fasciated blossom, meaning when the flower bloomed, there were multiple flowers that were fused together. Those were pollinated and then created this giant tomato. So you could see 1, maybe 2, 3 different blossoms that grew together, and that's why they look like this. Sometimes you might hear the term of cat facing. This would be a cat face tomato. It is absolutely edible. There is no doubt about that. You just cut around these weird spots, but you can still eat it. And the story with the mortgage lifter is the person who cultivated these was able to grow so many and sell so many that he could pay off his mortgage because of these giant, big prize winning tomatoes. So this is the mortgage lifter. This is a very savory tomato. Lots of big, rich flavor to it. Very good. There's a lot happening here. I feel like this would pair well with like a cheese tray. Definitely would be good on a sandwich. Tasty, not bitter at all. Give the mortgage lifter a thumbs up. Here we have another heirloom variety called Subarctic Plenty. This variety has been cultivated to grow better in colder areas, so I thought, well, here in Zone 6, Northeast Ohio, it can be pretty cold. Now I'm growing this in the summertime, so I would be interested in trying this in a cooler part of the year to see if it grows in that time. But when it's ripe, you can see it's nice and red on the bottom, and the top has some yellow blushing. You can see inside. Wow, this is very sweet. Very juicy. Nice rich tomato flavor. Yeah, I like this. This is a really nice, good slicing tomato. Red slicing tomato. And I obviously haven't tried it out in the cooler part of the growing season, but would definitely be interested in trying it then to see how well it grows. Subarctic Plenty. Give it a thumbs up. Now this one is called Girl Weird Thing. That's right, Girl's Weird Thing. This is what this tomato is called. I have never heard of this tomato. I saw it on a seed swap and I was like, okay, I'll try it. And it's got really cool coloring. It is this dark green color with red stripes, or dark red with green stripes, whatever you want to do. And it's a really interesting looking slicing tomato. I can see why they call it a weird thing, because it is something that I have not seen ever before. But it's very cool looking and very unique. Let's see inside here. Wow, it's just like oozing juice. It's not bad. It's one I'm not overly excited about. I mean, it's very, very juicy, but there's not a whole lot of flavor happening. I guess I would say it's a savory tomato. It's not sweet, but I'm not like overly impressed with this. It's just kind of plain. Girl weird thing is cool looking and it's weird looking, but the taste is just kind of I could take or leave this one. But I have saved two of my favorites for today's video. So the first one is the Indigo Apple. Now I grew this last year and I really enjoyed this variety. When it's ripe, it has a very, very dark blush on the top, full of that anthocyanin. And then on the bottom, it gets this nice deep red color. And what I really like about these tomatoes is these remind me of eating a plum. They are so juicy, so fruity, very flavorful. My son Anthony really liked these last year. Now, neither of my kids are very big into eating tomatoes. They'll do sauce and ketchup, but not raw tomatoes. But I've been trying to encourage them to at least try it. All these different varieties I'm growing, can you just try it? But last year, so I grew these. Anthony liked this. That said it was good. One of my favorites. Definitely had to grow it again this year. I actually have 4 plants growing in my garden. I think I'm growing the most of this specific variety out of everything, just because we like them so much. So I'm already, I guess, biased on this one because I already know how it tastes, and it tastes really good. And I like to have these on sandwiches, just eat them with salt. So good. They're very sweet, very juicy, so much flavor. The Indigo Apple is another one of those heirloom varieties. I think out of all the tomatoes that I've had so far, the Indigo Apple still wins. And I've grown it before, so really like this one. Is the Dark Galaxy tomato. Now I grew this last year and it has a very unique flavor, and I'll get to that. But just look at how cool this tomato's coloring is. So it's got this deep red and purple variegation going on, but it has these specks all throughout it that makes it look like stars, as if you were looking at a galaxy. It's such a neat tomato. I've actually brought 2. Now I haven't seen that they grow super big, so they're more on the smaller side of the slicers. So this one's 4 ounces, this one's 7.9 ounces. A lot of them are this size, and a lot of them are also small, so they're on the smaller size of the tomatoes, but they're very, very cool to look at. I mean, I just think these are so neat. Now the Dark Galaxies are heirloom varieties as well. And just look at that color. Look how rich it is. Just looks so good. The Dark Galaxy. It's very rich, very savory. I've always described these as being like a smoky tomato. This one is delicious on a BLT with nice chunks of salt on it. Really nice taste. Definitely recommend the Dark Galaxy. This one is a green zebra tomato. So this one is meant to be green. When it's ripe, it's green. But it has just the ever slightest yellow, orange. Let's see if we can get a good streaking to the coloring. You can see that. There we go. And I also know it's ripe because it's got some give when I squish it. Now this one is pretty small. This fruit is only 2.9 ounces. So pretty small. I do have some larger ones that are growing out on the plant still. So there are others that will be bigger. But I wanted to try this out because a green zebra actually is, I've never had a purposeful green tomato. I've had green tomatoes that weren't ripe, but not a tomato that was supposed to be green in the end. So I'm interested to see what this one ends up tasting like. So cutting it open, there's a little bit of a moldish spot inside, so I guess it must have been going bad, but that's okay. You can still eat this. We'll just cut that part out. That'll go to the chicken scraps, and here we go. So this is not sweet. It's got a very rich taste, a little sour, but I would say it's also kind of savory. It is pretty juicy. A lot of water content in here. Kind of looks like a kiwi, but it is not sweet like a kiwi. It's definitely more on the richer, savory side. It's not bad. I'm not overly enthused about it. I don't know that I would like to eat this on a sandwich or in a salad. I'm not quite sure what I would do with this. But again, I haven't had much experience doing recipes with green tomatoes, so there might be actually a good reason for cooking this. Not sure if I would grow it again. I will keep trying it as they ripen in the garden. But so far, this is just okay for me. So I have 2 tomato varieties that just got ripe, and I'm gonna just quickly talk about them. So this one comes from a tomato plant called a 506 Dwarf bush tomato. This is from a very compact plant. It's only like 2 feet tall, so it's a very small, compact plant. And what's interesting about this is the tomato was a lot bigger than I had expected from a dwarf tomato plant. I've never grown a dwarf before, and this is actually a good size. It was weighed in at 3.9 ounces. So being coming from a dwarf tomato plant, I was actually pretty surprised that this is a really decent sized tomato. Now's the taste. It's actually really good. Again, it coming from a dwarf plant, I didn't have many expectations of it tasting super flavorful, but surprisingly, this is a really nice tasting tomato. It's juicy. It has that rich edamame flavor. No, not edamame. That's a legume. Umami. Has that nice like tomato umami flavor, like a nice wholesome tomato. This would actually really nice to grow in a container on your back porch, or you know, if you have a small greenhouse and can only do kind of smaller varieties. I'm very happy with the way this tomato turned out. And then the next one, I've got the Kellogg's Breakfast. This giant weighed in at 1 pound and 4 ounces. So this is a big tomato. I have been watching this one ripen for quite some time because it appeared to be the only one that I ended up getting from that plant, and I think it's because all of the energy went into this, making this big tomato, among other things. But super excited for this one. I have found that I am really enjoying the orange tomatoes. So I had Dr. Weishi's. I tried that one last week, and I tried a Moon Glow, which is also very orange, and so I am really excited for this one. I cut big chunk off. Here we go. So this one is again, like the other orange ones I've had, very sweet, low in acidity. These orange ones, they just remind me just very fruity, very aromatic. If you aren't a tomato person, because traditional tomatoes, you're just like, well, I can't deal with the taste, I would recommend trying an orange tomato, because it takes on a whole different approach than your normal red tomatoes. This is really nice. I would have this in a salad, or like with a fruit salad. Eat it on a sandwich. I could have it in a wrap. Many different ways I would use this. So very happy with the taste of the Kellogg's Breakfast. My hands are huge tomato. Very happy with how this one has turned out. Okay, that's it for this one.
Please like and subscribe.
I'm saying it one time. Oh my goodness, you're a critic.
They're like YouTube fanatics.
Am I a YouTube fanatic?
Yeah, mostly when people start off with like, please like and subscribe, guys.
Okay.
Cool stuff in Robux.
Okay, moving on. I really love film.